Okay, this is part 12 of Federalist number 1. I'll start with the paragraph that starts with these words. In the course of the preceding observations, I've had an eye, my fellow citizens, to putting you upon your guard against all attempts, from whatever quarter, to influence your decision in a matter of the utmost moment to your welfare by any impression other than those which may result from the evidence of truth. It says that up to now I've been telling you about the things you need to pay attention to. I've been warning you about all the negative things that might be said about us people who are the Federalists, who are writing to support the passage of this Constitution. Because remember, even before they started writing these articles, people who were against the Constitution had started publishing things in some of the daily newspapers or some of the weekly papers of the state of New York. So Hamilton and Madison, eventually, they were aware, Hamilton and John Jay, they were aware that these people have already started criticizing them. So he says, I've been mentioning it to you. I've been trying to let you know, to be aware of these people that are trying to maybe even lead you the wrong way. You will no doubt at the same time have collected from the general scope of them that they proceed from a source not unfriendly to the new Constitution. He says, and it is obvious that I, Alexander Hamilton, writing this paper, of course, Publius, it says I, Publius, not Alexander Hamilton, but he's saying that the article that you're reading right now is from somebody who is in favor of this Constitution, who's friendly towards this Constitution and this system. Yes, my countrymen, I own it to you that after having given it an attentive consideration, I'm clearly of opinion it is your interest to adopt it. Yes, my countrymen, I think it is to your interest, to your benefit, that you adopt this Constitution. You ratify it in the constitutional ratifying conventions that take place in your state. You will choose delegates to go to these ratifying conventions, and I'm hoping that you will accept this Constitution. Your delegates, your representatives to these conventions will accept it. This is his hope. I am convinced that this is the safest course for your liberty, your dignity, and your happiness. He already says he believes this is the best way to preserve your liberty, to acknowledge and respect your dignity and your happiness. I affect no reserves which I do not feel. I will not amuse you with an appearance of deliberation when I have decided. He's saying that I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to mislead you. I've already told you that I am supporting this Constitution. I will be truthful and open with you. I frankly acknowledge to you my convictions, and I feel freely I freely lay before you the reasons on which they are founded. The consciousness of good intentions disdains ambiguity. He says, I'm not going to make things complicated. I'm just going to lay before you let you see why I think this is a great Constitution, the best that we can give you right now. I'm not going to play with your feelings, play with your mind. I shall not, however, multiply professions on this head. My motives must remain in the depository of my own breast. My arguments will be open to all and may be judged of by all. They shall at least be offered in a spirit which will not disgrace the cause of truth. And basically he'll say, I'm going to tell you what's in my heart and my soul and my mind. I'm going to reveal to you what I believe in, and I hope you see the good things in this Constitution. Okay, we will stop here reading of the text. Just focus on the fact that these guys learned history, knew history, had studied it. Remember one of the things that James Madison did, on top of all the education he had asked Thomas Jefferson to send him books about history of the ancient world, history of Europe. Keep in mind, one of the most important books on the history of Rome had just been published, at least the first volume of Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire by Gibbons had come out in 1776. So these founders were familiar, and they were looking at history of these empires like Rome and Greece as a history of empire that they will ascend. A small town will get powerful and gradually get bigger, and it'll eventually ascend to an empire, become an empire, and before you know it, corruption takes over and they decline. And one of the best books on the history of Rome, at least beautifully written, is Gibbon's Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. And that book had just come out, along with some of the other books. So these guys really, really knew their history real well. And at the same time, they realized that all these empires that had ascended, that had got power and became prominent, had eventually declined and fell. So he's saying that we're gradually going to talk about these things. We're going to say that we're going to give you a constitution that will unite us, make us strong. At the same time, it will stop us from getting corrupt. It will put in place a mechanism where we will check one another. We won't let one part of government get so powerful that the other part will not be able to stand up to it, and take us in the way of tyranny. We'll talk about this part a little bit more. We've got 85 papers to study, so I'll gradually share this information with you. As you can see here, I've got watch all the videos by Ken Burns. Ken Burns is an American documentary filmmaker, and he's a great storyteller. Him and his team. Of course, him and his team, people who support him. He has done a lot of videos for PBS again. Remember, I told you all the PBS videos are great. One of the works of his that I saw that I thought was wonderful, and I happened to be lucky to come across it at the right time, was the series he did on the American Civil War. But make sure that as you go along and you want to learn about the American history, watch all his videos.